Okay, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to manage a project using Microsoft Project. Before we can even manage a project, we need to prepare a work program, or what we call scheduling. Okay, what we can do is basically open up your Microsoft Project, then open up a blank project. Okay, if you notice a blank project, always on the views of a spreadsheet consists of column. Okay, there are a few columns that you need to fill in, and then the what we call Gantt chart views, and etc. Okay, we start with the few things first. First is what we call setting up. Okay, how to set up a project. Okay, first go to File. Under File, click on Option. Okay, there are a few buttons here or menu. First, we start with General, and in General, there are a few things with regard to color and whatnot. Normally, I do not change anything. It is fine with this thing. And then we go to Display. Okay, now we start with we are using Gregorian calendar. And then USD, I want to change to Malaysian Ringgit, MYR. Click on the wording, the alphabet M, then list of M will appear, and then select MYR. And then the symbol RM is already there. If in your computer the symbol only show R, please add M, okay? And then decimal digit, it is up to you how many number of digit that you want, okay? So for me 2 is okay. And then another one is click entry bar. Maybe yours is unticked, and then you can click entry bar so that you can edit. It is similar to Excel. The bar will appear, and then you can basically see the wording that you want to edit. Okay, for display is okay. Now go to schedule, next menu. Okay, let's try to schedule our project starting on maybe 1st October. Okay, before we click on this thing, now let's check the calendar. Let's get the calendar. Where is that? Okay, calendar. Let's check on the 1st October. Okay, October. What would be the first day in October? You see here. October would be on Thursday. Okay, Thursday, 1st October will be on Thursday here. Alright. Okay, now we are clear on that thing. Okay, so if you want to schedule a project on October, and the 1st October start on Thursday, so you should change this thing to Thursday. A lot of people have a wrong concept about the start of the week. Start of the week represent the week that you start the project. If you start on Tuesday, then put Tuesday. If you start on Wednesday, then put Wednesday. And of course, fiscal year, we are doing the project on October, so you should click October, and you should also click this thing. Otherwise, your start of the project in the timescale means here, this is what we call timescale. You need to drag into the proper month or proper year. Okay, now we already tick this one. It should go right to the one that we choose. Okay, then starting date. Okay, 8 to 5. 8 to 5 is 9 hours. Deduct 1 hour for lunch hour from 12 to 1. So that will be the 8 hours by default. And then the working days are from Monday to Friday. So meaning to say Saturday and Sunday is off days. So now we need to change this thing according to your calendar. Let's assume that we are going to work from 8 to 7 p.m. Okay, you can just simply type 7 p.m. here. Alright, there you go. and then for sure 8 to 7 will be 11 hours, and then lunch hours in between. So now you are working for 10 hours. All right. And then I do not want to have any holidays within a week, mean to say 7 days per week. So we are working for 70 hours per week. And then every day working, for sure, we are going to work for 30 days. All right. Even though number of days in between a month would be slightly different, but never mind, just put 30 days. And then show assignment unit as decimal or percentage. I put decimal. Later on, when we click on the resource sheet, then only you understand what is the differences between decimal and percentage. And the name of the project currently is project 1 because I have not changed into proper project name yet. Okay, we will do that thing later. And the new task created, I will click on auto schedule. We can do manual schedule as being mentioned in my previous video. Okay, then duration is entered in days. I want it to be in days. Work is hours. What is work? Work is basically unit time duration. So that is how work is being calculated. Okay, now this is very important. Default task type, I want for the demonstration to put in fixed duration. When you put in fixed duration, please do not tick this box. This box is meant when you take fixed unit or you use fixed work. That is the matching. But for my case, I want it fixed duration, and then I untick this one. I can tick the rest of the box here, so it should be okay. So again, for this for schedule, I just only change the starting days of the project and the month, and then I change the working hours per week, and then working hours per month, how many days. Then I change to decimal. I click on auto schedule, and I untick this one because I want it to be fixed in terms of duration input. So schedule is okay. Proving, I don't have to do anything, and then save. For save, it is better you click on auto save every whatever minute that you want, and then click on the prompt before saving, because otherwise it might be blackout or so, and then you might afraid of losing your work. So it is better to put auto save and then prompt before saving. The computer will ask you whether you want to save now or not. Sometimes you do not want to save it yet because you are doing the correction on the input. Okay, language, no need to do anything, and advanced. Okay, for advanced, okay, the rest of the thing looks okay. Only the last one, or this box, I will basically then click. Okay, all right, now we are okay on that thing. And then the last one is basically trust center. Click on trust center and then trust center setting. Click on legacy format, and I would like to click on the last one, allow loading file with non-default file format, so that Microsoft Project can read your older file or even the file that you can import. Okay, there are a few format file that you can import data from, SharePoint, Excel, etc., etc. So you would like to do that, and then you click on OK. Click on OK, and again another one, OK. All right, now you are done with the setting up. Okay, the next one that you want to do some changes or before you start the project is what we call the calendar. You notice that even though we have changed Saturday and Sunday as a work week or work days, but still the gray area appear as non-working days. That's why we need to do some changes. And another thing is that you notice there is dotted line here. So today is 13 June. So what the computer is showing that it is today's date. whereas we say that we want to start the project on the 1st October, okay, and the computer doesn't show the 1st October yet. That's why we need to do the setting. Okay, we have done the first setting. The next setting would be, now go to this menu, click on the project. You notice that there is a change working time. Okay, click on this one. Now you are into the calendar. You notice that for the calendar, there is two selection of calendar. We go for the standard project calendar. And you know what? Once you input resources, all the name of your machinery, your manpower will appear under this thing. Meaning to say, you can customize calendar for each person, for each machinery, and you can print that thing out. All right. But now, since we do not input anything yet, we just have the standard calendar for the whole project. But you notice that Saturday and Sunday is still non-working days, whereas we already say that it is working days. And you notice here, the working hours is 8 to 12 in the morning session, and then 1 to 5, that would be in the afternoon session, whereas we say that we are going to work from 8 to 12 morning session, and then from 1 to 7. See, if you click each of these things, it doesn't show the right setting that we want. So we need to change those things. Okay, let me quickly show you how to create a holiday, and then to basically remove the default holidays. Okay, you can only click on these two buttons here, exception and then work weeks. Okay, two buttons here. Let's try to create holiday. Okay, let's take a look, and on the August 31st, that will be the Merdeka Day. See, I click on exception, and I put it here, Merdeka. Put capital letter. Okay, now it is Merdeka. When it is start, it's going to be finished. You see, now it is gray area, indicate public holiday. See, that's how you create public holiday. Then, how to basically make sure that we are working every day, even Sunday and Saturday. Now you need to click on work weeks. Okay, now let's go to our straight away into our October month of the calendar, because this is where we are going to start the project on the first October, which is on Thursday. But then we want to set this thing to have the working hours from 8 to 7, plus this is what we call working days as well. How do we do that? Now, okay, remember, we want to remove this thing, make this thing as working days. I need to click on work weeks, then click on detail. Okay, since I want all the days to be standardized, having the same working time, and it is working days, what I can do, I simply choose all. I can click each of these things, or I can hold on my shift button at the end of this selection here, Wednesday, and then click. You see, I just simply select all, and then I need to choose set days to this specific time. Now the computer is asking you the morning session from 8 to 12. Okay, from 8 to 12, meaning to say about 4 hours, and then this one from 1 to 7 p.m. You need to write 7 p.m. You see, now you are basically inputting the right thing, and then try to click OK. You see, Saturday and Sunday, click each one of these things. It will show you the right duration, and you have to make sure that you have the right duration. If, for instance, your friend do the right thing in terms of selecting Saturday and Sunday as working days, but then inputting the working hours wrongly, you will not get the same answer with your friend, just simply because working hours is not the same. Okay, some people could be putting extra work, some people could be putting less work per day, even though the number of days might be correct, but for sure at the end of the day, you can be finishing the project earlier or later. Okay, now and then click OK again. Okay, wait for this. You see, now the gray area has been changed. Now we are going to start our project based on the right timing and working days. But another one, we need to start at the right date, which is 1st October. How do we do that? The second setting. Okay, the first setting I already show you to make changes in file and option. We already did that. Okay, the second thing is basically you click on the project and then you click on change working time. You see, now we already have the right things. Okay, and now I want to change the project date from the right date. How do we do that? Click on the project here and then click on here, project information, double click. Now the computer will ask you what is the start date of our project. Now click on this one and then go to October. Okay, now click on the first Thursday there, click OK. You see what happened to this dotted line? It shows 1st October, which is the right project date that we want. Okay. Now, okay, we have already finished on setting up. Okay, now we want to input data in our computer. How do we input data? Actually, Microsoft Project don't ask you a lot of information, except that you need to input the task name, duration, start date and finish date will be automatically generated based on duration that you input and based on the starting date of the project, and then of course the predecessor. Predecessor basically will indicate later on when you start the project and when you finish the project. And now the computer is asking me about changes. Okay, save. I would like to click on say yes. Now I want to save into a proper what we call file name. Let me click my folder. Okay, before you even start the project, you have to make sure that you create a folder for your project, otherwise you cannot find it later. And then I will put the name of the project, let's say infra work. Okay, spelling error, infra work. Okay, now I click save. Okay, so now and on the top of this screen here, infra work is the name of the project that I already changed. Okay, now I want to input the information. Remember, Microsoft Project only asks you to input task name, duration, start date and finish date will be auto-generated. What is start date? Start date is like early start, early finish date. And then predecessor you need to input, and then resource name. That's it. And another one is basically WBS. You do not input WBS, but you have to organize your project in order to get the right WBS. Okay, well, I can basically show you later on when we organize the project, we will input a WBS column. Okay, so there are not so many columns. Okay, now let's open up my Excel file, which I already have the what we call data to be input into Microsoft Project. The good thing is that you can import from Microsoft Project your Excel data, because Microsoft Project spreadsheet column with Excel column, basically they are very similar. They can read those things, but when you import, you have to make sure that you are inputting using the same format that Microsoft Project want. Okay, meaning to say, you notice that in row number 5 here, dumper square bracket, that is the right format in terms of the quantity of machinery you put in terms of square bracket. It is not a round bracket. Okay, that is the way. Okay, inside this Excel, I already have list of task name. Okay, you notice that from row number 2 until row number 27, I have list of so-called task name. But among the list, I distinguish them between color. You notice that the green color, site work, foundation work, and close out, these are not the activity name. They are just simply the summary task name with regard to members of activity belong to. For instance, site work are item number 3 until item number 8. Okay, and then another one, I also highlight a gray color, zone A, zone B, into different color, meaning to say they are not activity by itself. Zone A is not an activity. Remember, when we do the scheduling, we schedule the activity, but we can add the title of, for instance, in terms of zone, in terms of phase, in terms of what we call generic name. Okay, generic name, for instance, superstructure, substructure, external works, earthwork, whatever. That is just simply the name of list of activity that under that category of work or whatever, we can just add into the list. Okay, and you notice the second column is duration. The one which is being colored doesn't have any duration because they are not activities. Okay, so that's why they don't have to they don't have any duration. You only put duration on real activities. Okay, then predecessor. Predecessor is where you show the link between one activity and another. Again, for task summary name and whatnot, they do not have any predecessor. Don't link them because they are not activities. And then resources. Again, resources is I already predetermined. How do you get these resources? Is from your productivity rate. Remember, each of activity normally require man, machine, material, and the right method. And then that is when the cost will be generated once you already have man, machine, and material. And when you input certain unit rate with regard to those things, and then the cost will be calculated. Okay, so I already have all the data which I need, okay, for all of sample activities. And then another one, okay, resource sheet. When we input the resources, we input into Microsoft Project using resource sheet. So this resource sheet is basically similar to what can be found in Microsoft Project, but I just simply prepare this thing in Excel form so that I can just simply copy and paste them into Microsoft Project. Remember, you see, I do have different color here. This what we call green color. No, the yellow one indicate manpower, and then I do have machinery, list of machinery, and then I do have list of material. Okay, I can input into what we call Microsoft sheet later on. And then this one, remember, for manpower and material, for machinery, the unit is work, whereas for material, you need to put material. And then F, column F indicate maximum unit. This is where, remember, in setting up, we do set up unit in terms of decimal or percentage. If you put decimal, so this is the numbering that you associate. For instance, surveyor, one surveyor at all time, okay, at your construction site. And then bar fixer, 16 means 16% at all time, maximum. This one basically, it depends on you. You are the one that decide. But then later on, when you input whatever values that you think it is appropriate, and then you attach that thing into your activities in Microsoft project, then only you can see whether your resources are sufficient or not, whether they are conflict or not. And then you need to do some kind of resource leveling. You need to resolve resource conflict. Okay, so the good thing is that when we manage a project, not only we input the project according to the list of activities and then duration, we need to basically optimize the usage of resources as much as possible. Then only we can basically get the best of the planning at the minimum cost. That is always the concept. And you remember, and you see here, column G, standard rate. Standard rate here, I do not, for manpower, I do not put any money rate for manpower. I just simply leave it blank. And then for machine, I leave it blank also. But then for material, I do have some kind of values. What does 6 ringgit for earthwork mean? 6 ringgit per cubic meter. Meaning to say, for 1 cubic meter of earthwork that you want to install, require the cost of 6 ringgit. What does 6 ringgit simply mean? When we say this is unit rate simply mean it consists of material, manpower, and machinery plus profit that we normally put into our contract document. We call it BQ. So unit rate is basically all in, it's inclusive of everything. So when it is inclusive, then I don't have to put value in manpower and crane. But the list of manpower and machinery, I put it here and then I attach to each of the activity just simply to show that that activity require this type of machinery, how many number of people, and then I attach certain material. At the end of the day, then only I get some costs out of that activities. You see, this is one of the way. There are so many ways to input costs inside your Microsoft project. Another way, okay, then last one. Okay, when you want to input the cost, you need to basically have how much of the quantity of each activity. How do you get this quantity? You can get from your BQ. Okay, the unit is there, the quantity is there, and you notice that some of the activities such as earthwork, bar bending, concrete already have some unit rate attached. Example, see, earthwork, excavation, lean concrete, rebar, formwork, and everything already have some kind of unit rate. But there are also some activities which I highlighted yellow here, survey, and then what else? Survey, another zone, and then backfilling, which I do not attach any unit rate. So this one I call it lump sum rate, lump sum what we call values. And we can also input lump sum values into Microsoft project in so-called fixed cost column. So this is again another way of inputting costs. the most important thing is that in your Microsoft project, you want to make sure each of the activity do have some kind of cost attached to that thing. So you can attach using what we call rate. You can attach using fixed costs, and then you can even attach using a unit cost. In the resource sheet here, basically you can add a selection of item which basically do have the type of cost, what we call unit instead of material, instead of work. Then we do have another one, we call it cost. Where do we use this cost? We can apply this unit cost when we give the contract to the subcontractor. Maybe there are so many contractors that we can name some subcontractor A, B, C until whatever. And then there are also some other costs which are related to preliminary testing, drawing, safety costs, and then meeting, traveling costs, subcontractor already mentioned, and a lot more costs which you can basically attach the unit of cost to that item. But you do not put the cost in this standard rate. There is another way of inputting the cost. Okay, so I will show you later on. But now, for the time being, I just want to show you that I already have predetermined what we call data that I want to input into what we call Microsoft project. How do we do that? Okay, now task name, duration, and predecessor. Okay, there are 3 columns that I want to input first. Now let's open up the Microsoft project again. Okay, you notice that there is a task name, duration, and predecessor. Predecessor is here. I can move predecessor. Okay, I can move predecessor here. You see? Now I already move so that it will be close to each other, so that I will use what? I will basically try to copy and paste from Excel. Okay, A, B, C column. I will start copying from row number 2. Okay, don't copy the okay, I just copy, then put into Microsoft project. Okay, and copy the first under the task name, the first column only, in the first row. Just copy all, paste, not copy, paste. Okay, sorry again, mistake there. Okay, go back to Excel. Okay, copy, then go to this one. Okay, now let's try to paste. Okay, you see, now I already paste all, and the start and finish date of the project basically already appear, and then the Gantt chart is already being drawn for me. But if you look at the Gantt chart, it looks very funny. Why? Now the question of organizing the project. Okay, organizing the project. Let me expand this line a little bit so that you can see. In our duration, there are a few duration which being put as a question mark. Okay, by right we should not have this question mark in our duration, because the question mark is computer is asking us, is it 1 day, is it 2 days, whatever. We need to confirm that by pressing the enter button. But we have not completed this thing yet. Okay, remember, we need to organize our project according to WBS. Now I insert a column. I type in W so that the WBS column is there. you notice that all of my list of task name basically only have 1 until 26. 1 until 26. Okay. 1 until 26, meaning to say they are all at the first level, 1 until 26 on the first level. If you can remember, WBS consists of multi-level. Okay, level 1, 2, 3, and etc. Now we are only at the first level, only one, but there are lists of activity, meaning to say being put horizontally, not vertically. Now we want to organize. How do we organize? Okay, we are going to organize using this button. I call it Indent Button. Okay, how do we do that? First thing first. First, I'm going to organize my activity. I have to select activity under in between of a yellow highlighted task. For instance, site work. I want item row number 2 until 7 to be included under site work. Okay, only row number 2 and 7 only. Now I go back to this task and then click on indent. You see, now you notice that I already group all item row number 2 until 7 under the category of site work. And you notice what happened to WBS. Now the item site work is under category of item number 1, and this 1.1 show the vertical relationship between item 1. Okay, next we are going to group again under the yellow category only, item number 9 until 22 to be put under foundation work. Again, click on task, click indent. Okay, now we are done with that thing. You see, all these things, item number 9 until number 22 are being indent. Indent simply mean in a word, for instance, when you type in, you just simply click on tab. That's what we call indent. So what does that thing simply show is that they are being put together under item number 2, which is foundation work. And then the last one, close out. Close out do have a few items, site cleaning, inspection under them, and then I just simply click task and then click indent. There you go. If you make mistake in indent, please highlight those activity which basically you it looks very funny or doesn't mesh. You highlight this thing and then click task, and then you can outdent. Outdent is like going back using the indent what we call menu. Okay, now we already classify that according to the yellow category of work, site work, foundation work, and close out. But now we are not finished yet, because we do have what we call zone A and zone B category of tasks. So again, we are going to highlight what are the activity under zone A. For instance, for zone A on site work, there are 2 activity. I call it activity 3 and 4, and then I click on indent. Okay, now I already create a subgroup under category of zone A. Similarly, for zone B, I also do the same. Okay, now I'm done with that thing. And then for foundation work, I will click all the activity under zone A only. Don't click wrongly, then you will get a different result. Then okay, and then okay, now you are good to go. Don't do anything else with regard to close out, because close out only have one level. So you are done with the close out. Don't click on any indent, and you notice that okay, our project will run for 31 days. Okay, we run for 31 days. When do we finish our project? Okay, we start our project with the first October, and then we are going to no, for site work only. For site work is 31 days, foundation work is 49 days, and then close out is 7 days. Okay, because they are being grouped under the category. But how many days our project is going to be completed? Okay, now you notice that the numbering here, 1, 2, 3, whatever the numbering here, is being auto-generated by Microsoft Project. They are being recognized. Microsoft Project do not recognize the name of activity. Microsoft Project only recognize according to this basically numbering. Okay. Now, I want to open up a 0 ID row. This one is start from 1. I want to open up a 0 ID row. What is 0 ID row? 0 ID row indicate the overall project information. How do we do that? Okay, now click on format. Click on format. Under this format, there is box project summary task. You tick on this box, and now the row number 0 appear. The row number 0 meaning to say the overall information about project. So the file name of the project is infra work. Duration of the project is 77. And then when do we start a project? 1st October, and then when do we finish? 16th of December 2020. Okay, so we complete in 77 days. All right, now you see we almost done with our inputting data except on resource name. Okay, except on resource name. Okay, resource name. Okay, we will do that things. Okay, let me. Okay, now the last column would be resource name, and if you click on any of these activity here, and there is a button here, when you click, there is a empty kind of listing that you cannot see anything. Why? Because we have not input any resources yet to each of our activity. Okay, the question is that how do we input resource? Okay, now make it smaller so that you can see this thing. Okay, resource name. Maybe I can what I can do, I can move this resource here. Okay, so that we can just simply see in terms of the task name and then resource name, it is still empty. How do we input resources? We do not input resources directly in our resource name, even though you can do that by clicking. For instance, you can click here, each of the item here, you can double click. When you double click, the task information for that item will appear, and then you can click on resources, where you can assign resources using this kind of windows. But I'm not going to do that. Okay, I just simply close this thing first. There are so many ways that you can input data. So once you understand Microsoft Project, then you will get hang out of this work program, and then you can input it so many ways as you wish. Okay, but I'm just showing you one simple way of inputting data. Okay, how do we do that? Now we click on resource sheet here. There is a shortcut menu, we call it resource sheet. Okay, now you see empty resource sheet. Okay, you can input what? You can input, for instance, manpower, workers here. Okay, workers. you can input machinery, you can input material, and you can even input what we call costs. Okay, now I do not want to, I just simply delete this thing first, because I already have list of resources ready under my Excel file. See, this one I already have all the resources. What I'm going to do, just simply copy all resources according to the right format already, copy, and then put under resource name, the first column, just simply click paste. Okay, you see, all these, the one that I already prepared in Microsoft, in Excel, already input here, but you notice that there are some information are not being copied properly. For instance, here, this one and this one is not being copied properly. I do not know why, but never mind. We can just simply go back to our, what we call, information here. Try to copy, and then no, we copy back in the right column here, sorry, this one, and try to copy, whether we can copy those things or not. Try to paste, it's just not giving me the right things. Never mind, you just try to copy this thing, copy, and then try to put it here. No. Okay, never mind. If it is not being copied properly, then we just simply type in earthwork is basically cubic meter. That is what M3 is all about. Excavation is cubic meter. Lean concrete is cubic meter. Maybe it's lean concrete. Let me check again. Is it square meter or square meter? Okay, we use it square meter. Then square meter. Rebar would be in ton. And then formwork would be square meter. Concrete is cubic meter. That's it. That is the, what we call the unit. Alright, you do that. And then this one is basically 6 ringgit. What else? 6, 50, 15. This is 50. This one is 15. That's how you input it manually. 2005. It depends on your actual rate. This is the old rate that I do have. 30 ringgit. 30 ringgit for that one. What is this thing? 30 ringgit. Okay, wrong item there. Okay, 30 ringgit. Alright, now last one is 210. Okay, 210. No, wrong way. 210. Okay, now we do have the right unit. Okay, the maximum unit is simply the one I just simply put, and then later on we are going to see whether we do have a resource conflict or not. And then I tell you, you can input a few other things. For instance, let's input traveling. Let's input subcon. Let's input subcon B. Let's input testing. Let's input meeting, etc. And you know what? This one you can change into cost, and cost. You can basically just simply drag and fill the same thing. That is the quick way of doing things. You see, you do not input the cost here, even though there is a column of a cost. This is what we call standard rate. Rate mean how much RM per hour or per cubic meter per unit that you spell out. So the cost you do not input it here. This is not the place where you input the cost. There is a proper way, a proper place that you input the cost. Okay, I will show you later on. Okay, now basically you are done with the resource sheet. You don't have to do anything with this resource sheet. This resource sheet is simply just act like library. You can basically input all the resources that you know and just simply save this project without inputting the task list and etc. And then you just simply copy this resource into different project. It will act as a library of resources. When you attach the right resources, then only Microsoft project will basically read the right resources that you use. Okay, so don't be afraid to play around with the resource sheet. Now let's go back to my Gantt chart. Okay, remember resource name is still now show empty things. Okay, empty thing. Why? Because I have not input anything else. But if I click on this button here, let's say item number 3, I click on this one, you see the list of resources is already appear. Why? Because I already input. Now before we go into that, now let's go into our project. Remember about the project calendar that I told you. You see, for calendar, now if I click on this one, the list of resources also appear under our calendar, meaning to say we can set a specific calendar for surveyor, bar bender, carpenter, even machinery. You see? Alright. Now I want to attach resources into our resource column. How do we do that? Okay, now in order to do that, you need to click on any resources that you any activity that you want to input resources. Let's say I click on item number 3, survey and setting out zone A, and then I will click on menu resource, assign resource. You see, there is a window coming. This window is asking me whether I want to attach what are resources. What I need to do, I just simply select, I can click assign, or I can do the multiple selection, and then I can click assign, and then for survey, I will use surveyor. Try to find surveyor here. See surveyor, and then I assign. The tick one, here is a tick surveyor, and then the computer will ask me how many number of surveyor that I want. 1. And the cost is 0. Why the cost is 0? Because I do not input any unit rate with regard to that surveyor. So that's why it is being shown empty. But if the surveyor is being subcontract to company or whatnot, I can put whatever the name of the company under the selection here. Let's say the subcon, I assign. Then what I can do is just I put rate here. I can just simply put rate here as 10,000. 10,000. Okay. And you see, you notice that here. Now my bar chart already show I'm using surveyor as 1, and then I'm that the cost will be paid to the subcon. The value of the cost is 10,000. That is how we input the resources each into a resource. And I can just simply close this thing first. Just want to show you under this what we call, you see, resource name, the resource will appear similar to the one being shown on the bar chart. Okay, on the bar chart you can simply hide if it is too messy with all kind of information. You can just simply hide those things. Okay, now I just simply go back to assign resource. Okay, because this is one way to input cost directly, either using the element of a cost unit such as the subcon, or basically you are using unit rate. But I do not want to use this subcon. Okay, what I basically do, I select this one and then I simply remove. Okay, I remove, which basically left on the surveyor. This is what I want, because I want to input the cost in the fixed cost column, which I will show you again later on. Alright, surveyor. Now, the rest of the resources, which I already prepared here. Okay, I already prepared the resources according to the right format, using the square bracket indicate quantity and whatever. You see, I already input surveyor as the first item there, but the rest I have not inputted anything yet. I just want to basically copy this thing. Okay, copy the whole thing here and copy, and then go back to my Microsoft project and then paste into the right column or row. Paste. Now you see. Okay, now I already input all the resources. Let me check one thing. Okay, that is the right one that I want. I already input the resources, and you notice that item number 12 and 19 appear to have the red indicator. What is this thing? It indicates over allocated resources. Okay, over allocated resources, which basically indicate these resources is not sufficient. I click on my resource sheet. You see, item number 3, it is being highlighted red, indicate resources that I choose is basically not sufficient. How do I know it is not sufficient? This is what Microsoft can do, giving you all kind of indicator, and it is up to you to basically find those indicator, understand those indicator, and do a proper correction. Now, let's zoom in this particular area. Go to the resource graph. You know what? Let's go back to this one. Resource sheet. Because I want to take a look at this item. Resource graph. Okay, now let's go back to resource sheet. Highlight on this thing and then click on resource graph. Okay, and then search on the right graph here, drag. See, you notice that what happened is that for carpenter is working on zone A and zone B. Zone A and zone B basically will be running for what we call a few days, but in between there is overlapping activities. So that's why we allocate for zone A it is 8%, but suddenly in during 5 days overlapping between zone A and zone B, so each require 8%. So 8 plus 8 equivalent to 16. But in our resource sheet, we only allocate 14. So that's why computer is asking us, is telling us about resource conflict. Okay. All right. Now let me go back to the resource sheet again. You see this one. Okay. Now let's go back to our Gantt chart. When is our project is going to complete? Take a look at the bottom there. Okay, we are going to solve the resource conflict. Okay, let me press this thing first. Okay, now I want to show you how do we resolve resource conflict or over allocated resources. Remember, in our resource sheet, it indicates carpenter, we only put 14, whereas in our resource graph, it indicates 16. Well, you know what? If we add the resource to 16, let's add resource 15. So nothing happened. So meaning to say it is still insufficient. If we add 16, then it's going to be sufficient. Okay? So that's how basically you do resource conflict. But again, I do not want to go to this one directly yet. Now let's go back to the original. Okay, this is the issue. Okay, how we can basically solve resource conflict? There are multiple ways. Okay, I will show you one of the ways. First thing first, we need to understand when do our project basically is going to be completed. What would happen if basically we do not want to add the resources? We just simply push the activity so that it will not cause any conflict. Okay, before we do that, let's go back to our Gantt chart. Now let's take a look at the handover. When is our project is going to be completed? You see, our project is going to be completed 16th of December. 16th of December. I want to log this the last the day of the project handover. Well, I just simply double click this one. Now I want to log this thing. I click on advance. Deadline. I want to deadline on 16th of December. That is the deadline. Okay, that is the correct deadline, similar to that one. But then I want to allow the constraint type not to be as soon as possible. I want it to be as late as possible. When I click OK, you notice what would happen to this indicator here. Instead of this what we call a symbol, it will change to another symbol. I click OK. You see, it is a downward arrow. Maybe it is too small that you cannot see. Okay, this symbol indicate when I move my cursor here, it will give you, where is it? Okay, let me move the cursor. It will show the deadline constraint. Okay, now let's go back to this issue, resource conflict. Okay, Microsoft project basically do have what we call a resource labeling function. When there is a problem of resources, extra resources, whereby it exceeds what basically you already set. Your maximum resources is 14, but now Carpenter requires 16, but you just simply want to set it at 14. You do not want to exceed 16. What you can do, go to resources, and then you notice label resources. If there are so many resources which basically having conflict, you can label all. But since we do only have one, let's click on this button. And now you see, you can click on what are the resources which is in conflict. You can select, but now Carpenter is only the one being being shown there, being selected. I do not want to do this. Let's click on resource, label all. Okay, similar thing. You see, now I already removed the resource conflict, but by pushing the activity of form work in zone B, I push upfront a little bit later date. What happened to the project? You see, the project now has been pushed by 5 days. So I need to complete the project by 5 days. Okay, let me read this thing. Previously it was 16 plus 5, which is basically 21 days. Now it is being pushed back. So the question is that, do you want the date of the project being pushed back? If you do not want, then you can clear the labeling. Clear the labeling, entire project, then basically it go back to the same things. So in order to resolve this thing, there are so many ways. One is by adding more resources. Okay, the one that I will do, click on resource sheet here. I will add more resources. That could be one of the alternative, the easy alternative. The other alternative is you do not want to encroach into the deadline, or you do not want to add more resources. What you simply can do is by adjusting in terms of what we call the type of relationship. Remember, the type of relationship sometimes do have lag and whatnot. So you do not want the lapping, the lag, or basically the lead or whatever will appear. So meaning to say, you need to do some kind of adjustment in terms of working hours, etc., etc. You still can achieve those things. This is just example. Okay, now I decided to add more resources. Okay, so that I do not have the red indicator. Now I'm going back to Gantt chart. You see, when I add more resources, nothing happened to my duration and whatnot. Okay, nothing happened yet, but the issue is that we add more resources, there could be issue of the cost. Okay, now I need to complete my scheduling by looking at the costs. I use mouse and click on this particular area, and then you see there are selection of table. Now we are on entry table. There are so many tables that you can take a look. For instance, schedule indicate, you see, finish, start to finish, meaning to say early start, early finish, late start, late finish, free float, total float. All the information is here. Okay, so click on this small box here. Entry is by default. Now I want to take a look at the cost. You see, now my total cost of this project is 91,620. You notice that the costs are being distributed everywhere, like say earthwork and whatnot at this particular column, but there are some activity with basically no cost. Survey, for instance, zone A, zone B, backfilling doesn't have any cost. So that kind of cost I will input using what I call it fixed cost column. There are a lot of contractors basically do not do something like what I show you. They just simply put into the fixed cost. At the end of the day, for sure they will total up similar to the contract cost, which is also fine, doesn't matter. Okay, now I just want to fill in all the other costs. Looking at this here, go to our resource unit. You see the yellow label here indicate a few of missing costs. Survey 9,800. Okay, let's go back to our survey here. I put 9,000. just type in, enter, and then survey is 8000, enter. Backfilling, okay, let's go back to Excel, 434, site cleaning. Okay, here 4000, enter. This one is 3000, enter, and then site cleaning is 3000, 4000, sorry, enter. Okay, now let's check back. Okay, now we are getting RM 119,620. This is the right what we call cost that we want. Okay, this is the right cost that we want. Okay, so this is the cost of the project. Now, we are now still at the cost table. Now let's go back to entry. Okay, so the project is still 77 days. We do not change anything. I'm just showing you how do I attach costs. So this should be the completed work program. Completed work program means to say you have the task name, the name of the activity, the list of activity are being organized in proper WBS. You have the duration, you have the predecessor, and make sure each of the activity do link to each other. Don't leave the activity basically hanging. Okay, that's what the network diagram is supposed to be. They are interconnected. Then only you can see the proper what we call the critical path. Then input all the resources, and if the resources do have conflict, please resolve the conflict. So now you are good to go, because everything are being linked together, and then every activity do have costs, and we can even show the cost of the project. Now let's insert column cost. Let's try, is it total cost? Okay, cost. Let's try put cost, and then you see the cost of the project is being shown. The total cost is 119, and each of the activity do have the costs. By right, that should be the way. We cannot, it is not logic that one activity doesn't have any costs. Must have some kind of cost, because it requires man, machine, material, and etc. Okay, now before I show you other things, okay, now you notice that here in the bar chart it doesn't show the critical path. Well, you can basically show by clicking on views. I think views, is it views, project, task? Okay, it is under, is it report? Under format. Okay, under format, you can click on critical task. Click here. See, the red one indicate the critical task. And what is the PDM diagram for this project? Now here, you can click on network diagram. So this is the network diagram. Make it smaller so that you can view everything. Okay, this thing indicate the summary task. It is not being connected because it is not activity. The activity is here. The one being connected and the one being shown in red is what we call critical activity. You see, everything is there already. This is what we call PDM diagram, but in Microsoft they call it network diagram. Okay, so let's go back to Gantt chart. Okay, so we are ready to go. Okay, and before we close this, I would call this first part. This first part is basically just to prepare project scheduling or work program. And how do you prepare work program? By inputting all the necessary data. The second part of my demonstration here is basically how to update a project. And in fact, that is the most critical things. Why basically you want to do a project using Microsoft Project? Because you want to update a project. That is the most difficult, the most time consuming, because until the end of the project period, you need to basically update every day, and when there are issues, how do you solve the problem? That is the most critical things. But Microsoft Project is just giving you all kind of indicator, and the decision is basically yours. Computer cannot do anything. Computer just process the data based on whatever input. Now we already input on a work program. We assume that we have not started the project yet, because the project is going to start on 1st October. But this is the thing that you need to submit to the client. We call it work program. Okay. Now, before we move into the second part, I just want to show you in terms of report. You notice that there are a few report, dashboard, resources, cost, in progress, whatever, that you can just simply click and then you can print out. But among those report, I would like you to click on visual report. If you copy the way I do, you get the same result. What you can do is that cash flow report, click on this one, and then I want to change into days. Is it days or week? Let's try on week. And then I click on view and see what happens. This is basically to generate what I call cash flow S-curve. Okay. Now this, it will link to Excel, but it will give you this kind of cash flow report, which look very funny. But don't worry, don't get panic yet, because we have not finished everything. Okay. Cumulative, let me close this thing yet. Okay, week calendar, cancel. Okay. This is too small anyway. Okay, now at the bottom of the graph here, there is a chart and there is task usage. Okay, you need to basically expand this value, Q4. Q4 stands for quarter 4, the fourth quarter of the year. This is what we call US system. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. Since we are doing a project on the October, of course it is fall under category of the fourth quarter. But never mind, we already have week, and then we do have all the values here. And if you go back to chart, this is what your S-curve is all about. Based on weekly, you can change. Remember, you can change in the cash flow visual report in terms of days. If your project is very short, in terms of days, and then you can get many more values. But I'm just choosing in terms of week. Okay, so in terms of days, you will know you will start the project 1st October and then finish 16th of December. This is an example of your S-curve. If you don't like this S-curve, never mind, you just simply take these values and then copy into your Excel and print, and then use different curve in order to come up with a proper S-curve. But the concept is that Microsoft Project can generate financial S-curve. But how about physical S-curve? Okay. Physical S-curve, we can generate. I will show you, because that is in the second part, is the updating. Okay, the updating. Now I want to end the my demonstration here. Okay, and then continue with the second part in order to show you the rest of the what we call updating process. Okay, this is, let me drag all the bar chart to show you all the bar chart. Let me cancel. You see, this is the bar chart, and in fact you can basically view. Okay, let me show you view. You can view an entire project. Okay, see, all your project is being shown here. See, site work start from first day October and finish on 6th of December. Okay, and you can print out this thing if you want. You can print out the list of activity plus this what we call Gantt chart, and you can even drag this what we call slider here. What is this slider? So just simply print the columns. You want to hide the for instance the Gantt chart because this it will not fit into your paper, whatever. You can just simply print whatever information that you like. Okay, all right, with that I end this session, so that we are going to continue with updating using this same file. Okay, before I do that, I just simply click save. Okay, see you in the next session.